Whatever rocks your socks, whatever spins your top, whatever winds your watch, whatever flips your flop, whatever turns you on, whatever flies your flag, whatever bangs your gong, or whatever swings your bag. Do it often, but do it well, 'cause nobody knows and there's no way to tell when the ride ends.
Good morning. My name's Steve Rosse. Come and take a walk with me. This is Tanon Chai Tale, the road by the edge of the sea in Thai Muang, Turtle Beach, Phang Province, Thailand. This used to be, this is my morning routine. Typically, I will bicycle 20 kilometers up and down this road. This is mangrove, and about 50 feet that way, the ocean. Can you hear it? And it's a big, empty, deserted road. Every now and then someone will be jogging. Every now and then you see fishermen coming out here to fish. But for the most part, it's nice and empty, which is exactly how I like things. And having just said that, there's a motorcycle coming. This will either be a park ranger. Let me do this button up. This will either be a park ranger coming along or a local fisherman. Sometimes people come in here to collect bugs. There's some kind of big bug you can eat. And I like it here, particularly because this used to be a tin mine. That's what Thai Muang means. It means end of the tin mine. Fishermen. And this used to be a working, profitable tin mine. At the end of this road, there is the remain of the tin dredging, which is, believe it or not, one of our most popular tourist spots on Turtle Beach, is the remain of the tin dredging. But anyway, you see how they planted these casuarina trees in rows along the road. They line the road. They grow here naturally. But these obviously have been planted along the road, like an old antebellum mansion in the United States. So anyway, truth, capital T, truth. Let's talk about that. It's on my mind because I've been ghosted by a guy here in town, a guy named John. He's very angry at me, and he doesn't want to hang out with me anymore because I told a story in one of my videos. And he doesn't watch my channel. Hardly anybody does. But he got very upset. There is an expression. A story told well is better than a story told accurately. As far as what I do, I have to do both. I went to university as a graduate student for 2 years to study creative nonfiction at the University of Iowa. That's playing the music of what really happened. Creative nonfiction is telling a true story, but in an artistic way, in a literary way. Using the tools of fiction to tell a true story. And there are two considerations when you do this. One, you can't add anything. You can't lie. You can't invent. Everything has to be what really happened. It is playing the music of what really happened. You have to tell it in an interesting way, but it really had to happen. The other thing to consider, you can leave stuff out, right? In the interest of building a compelling narrative, you can leave stuff out. You can't add anything. You have to leave stuff out. Whenever anybody tells a story anywhere, anytime about anything, they leave stuff out. If I was to tell you the story of my 10-year marriage with every single detail, it would take you 10 years to read that, right? So we always leave stuff out. Nothing wrong with that. The other thing to consider is, whose story is it? Is it Steve's story to tell? Nah, that's tricky. That's tricky. So the reason John's angry at me is because I told a story about a friend of his named Mike who died, an old Farang who died in Phuket. And his family is fighting his caregiver, his Thai caregiver for the estate. And I told the story and said, basically, I'm rooting for the Thai caregiver, right? That was it. Oh, John's very upset. He says, I got the facts wrong. I have no, I don't remember how he put it, no consideration for the facts. Well, I do. Like I said, I went to graduate school for 2 years learning how to tell the facts in an interesting way. If I misremember it, well, I apologize. I'm 65 years old and I have smoked a whole lot of broccoli in my life. So it's very porous up here, what sticks and what doesn't stick. You know, I cannot remember my mother's phone number. She has had the same phone number since the 90s. I cannot remember it. I can remember every single word to the theme song of Gilligan's Island. So what facts I get right and wrong, mea culpa. You know, I'm trying to give you the facts. What facts I got wrong in the story of Mike, I don't know. I know Mike doesn't give a shit. Mike's dead. I know the Thai caregiver doesn't give a shit. I know John doesn't watch my channel, so why he gives a shit, I don't know. But the second consideration isn't your story to tell, Steve, is the story of Thai's caregiver fighting his children for the estate. Is that your story to tell? I think so. I think any story I hear is now mine to tell. Why not, right? I mean, who says? I met Mike once. I met the caregiver 3 times. I met Mike once, and I just sat in John's truck and listened to John tell me the story. Based on that, I retold the story. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If we only told stories about ourselves, we'd have a very limited repertoire. So, you know, I'm going to cut that bit out and edit. A very rare thing in a Steve monologue. At any rate, is it your story to tell? I think as far as I told it, yes. All I told was the things that I had heard from John or the things that I had heard and seen when I was at Mike's house. And I left stuff out, like the fact that he had BB guns all over the house, and Mike liked to sit up on his porch in his dotage and shoot BB guns at the neighborhood dogs. I left that out of the first telling. It's unflattering. It puts Mike in a very bad light. And even though Mike's dead and he wouldn't care, even so, I left that out the first time. Listen, let me tell you a story. Apropos of whose story is it to tell? So in about 1983, I worked on a movie called Homeboy with Mickey Rourke. We shot it in Asbury Park, New Jersey. And Bruce Springsteen visited the set. I actually got to stand behind Bruce Springsteen at the hotel lobby counter while he flirted with the girls behind the counter. And I was waiting to let them know my key once again wouldn't let me in my room. But I politely stood behind the boss and let him flirt with these 2 girls. And I'll tell you what, a New Jersey girl, a small town New Jersey girl in about, this was 83, 84, meeting Bruce Springsteen, you could smell the estrogen. It was sploosh. At any rate, so we're making this movie and we're shooting a boxing match in a big arena, big closed down, deserted, condemned performing arts center and arena. And there's a scene that happens in a men's bathroom at the arena. And because of the angles, the DP wanted to shoot the women's room as the men's room, which meant we had to get a bunch of urinals and hang them on the wall. So the set decorator found his urinals. He found this big old deserted hotel. It's not deserted, but it's closed down. It's no longer in business. Asbury Park used to be a big tourist center, a big beach destination. So they had a bunch of closed down hotels. At the time I was there, in the mid-'80s, the whole place was depressed. The whole place was on its ass. The whole place was closed down. But, which is one reason why Rourke and the boss were trying to bring business back there. with this movie. So at any rate, so we needed these urinals. So the set decorator found a closed down hotel, about 8-story hotel, I don't know, maybe 100 rooms. And it had been closed down for decades. But there were still 2 people living there, the man who owned the hotel and his 20-year-old daughter, who was gorgeous. I mean, movie star quality gorgeous. And I'm sure while the movie was in town, some casting director came up to her and said, I need your phone number, lady. You're gorgeous. So this guy and his daughter were living in this old hotel, this 8-story hotel. They occupied, her bedroom was the old lobby of the hotel, and his bedroom was the office off the lobby. And there was only electricity to these 2 rooms. And there was a ballroom. And we come in, we come into this hotel just knowing they've got urinals we can rent. And we come into this hotel, and the ballroom is decorated for a birthday party. This like 6 months ago. And there's still dirty plates and cups out on, and big things that say happy birthday. And it turns out this girl has had her birthdays in the ballroom of this deserted, closed down, dark hotel her whole life. And they'll have the party, and everybody in town comes because they're very popular. Everybody knows them. And it's fun for teenagers to party in an old deserted ballroom, right? So they don't clean it up. They leave it like that until next year, and then they clean it up for next year's party. So they live with the detritus in the ballroom. And at any rate, so it's a very weird environment. Oh, and down in the basement, somebody years before had a hobby of making sausages. So down in the basement, there's meat grinders and big freezers, and hanging from the beams, the floor joists, is old desiccated sausages, just miles, old meat hanging in this basement. Very scary. And upstairs, the guy has taken all of the bathtubs from all of the rooms, the 100 or so rooms, and put them in one room on the second floor. He's taken all the headboards and footboards, one room on the second floor. All the urinals, one room on the second floor. All the desks, one room. All the mirrors, one room. He's a little OCD, and he's selling this stuff, you know. And so it's easier. Have it all in one room on the second floor. Someone who wants a mirror comes and buys a mirror. So we came and we rented about a dozen urinals because it's the men's room. We're dressing the men's room of a big sporting arena. So we need like a dozen urinals against the wall, which we had, I think, about 1,000 extras for the fight scenes. And they were all convinced that those urinals worked. And there'd be a big line at the men's room. There were really no women on the set. It's a boxing movie. And so they went across the hall to the women's room that we had decorated with urinals on the wall. And they pissed in these urinals, hundreds of guys. And there's a half inch of piss on the floor in the bathroom, and it's running down the back of the wall from behind all these urinals. At least they didn't care. They just had to pee. So anyway, so we go in there, and we're taking out all these urinals. And the young lady is fascinated with the movie industry. Of course, who isn't? What teenager isn't fascinated with the movie industry? And she's chatting us up and hearing our stories about making movies. And we get all the urinals out of there. And we kind of were out in the front in the driveway by our truck. We turn around to say goodbye. And there's this young, gorgeous, stunning woman standing in the doorway next to her father, who's just a normal middle-aged guy. And they're smiling at us and, you know, see you again. Thanks for coming. Bye. And behind them is like the Addams Family mansion, right? It's a deserted 8 or 9 story building full of trash and garbage. And this princess is living there with this troll. And, you know, is that my story to tell? You know, it's been, is that 83, 20, 30 years? 40 years, right? Yeah, 40 years. When does that become Steve's story to tell? My quibble about the story is it has no ending, right? It has no character development, it has no arc of the narrative, has no theme, has no wit, has no style, has no irony. That's my quibble with that story. But when does it become Steve's story to tell? I don't know. This is my story to tell now. The story of Turtle Beach. You can find me here every morning, and that's the truth. Have a great week. Thank you so much for listening this far. I love you guys. I really do. I'll see you next week. I need to set this next bit up for you. So I was going through some very old thumb drives, and I found a recording I had made in 1990, on Friday, August 3rd, 1990, of the radio show I used to do. My first job in Thailand, other than English teaching, was being a disc jockey. I had a 3.5-hour rock and roll show on FM 89 on Phuket for 6 months in 1990. And then I got myself fired. That's another story. But I happened to record one show out of 6 months on that date, August 3rd, and it happened to be the day that Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait. And we would play the BBC World Service on the show, and so in this recording, you won't hear it, but it is the day he rolled into Kuwait. And that action would set a course of events in motion that would end up with me leaving and losing love of my life and blah, 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 yada, 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 read the book. But at any rate, I think it's really interesting. It's 30 years old, right? From 1990, 33 years old to 2023. And I still sound fresh as a daisy, don't I? Anyway, that's what this is. That's what this is. And since it's radio, I've thrown a bunch of old pictures from that period, from 89, 88, 89, 90. And so that's what that is. So I hope you enjoy it. There's shouts out to friends here and family. So if you're friends and family, listen for your name.
Yeah, you shook me all night long. That's what we try to do here on The Late Show. The Late Show, English language broadcasting from 8:30 to midnight here on FM 89, the extreme left-hand side of your radio dial. They make me say that. How you doing tonight? Where are you? Call me and tell me, 213-532. Are you in a bar in Patong? You in a bar in Kata? You on a boat in Naihan Bay? You listening to me in Surat Thani? Maybe on the back porch of your bungalow in Krabi? Maybe you're in the back room of a business somewhere and figuring out what the day's receipts are and what 49% of that is. Wherever you are, give me a call. Let me know what you want to hear. It's all rock and roll from here to midnight, folks. 213-532 is the number. My name's Steve Rosse. Have you noticed they're rerunning Max Headroom on Channel 3? Just started tonight. What a great old show that is, Max Headroom, and it's in Thai, so of course you can watch it and still listen to The Late Show here on FM 89. We got Genesis up next for you. I'm glad you're listening. Stick with me to midnight, will you? Sometimes getting things done around here can be maddening. That's why you need someone who's connected. You need someone who's in the loop, and that someone is High S, Hotel Information Center and Services. Located on the mezzanine level of the Phuket Shopping Center, they are in the loop. They can get it done for you, whatever it is you need done. Their phone number is 213-131 in Phuket. High S, your friend in Phuket.
ที่พักทั่วไทยใช้ High S
Joe Walsh, the great Joe Walsh. Late of James Gang here on The Late Show on FM 89. How you doing tonight? I want to say hello to a few of our regular listeners, Brian Hicks and all the gang down at Sunset Plaza in Patong. If you're looking for a little class, they say you can buy anything in the world in Patong. Well, a little class is the one thing you cannot buy, but you can find it on the Sunset Plaza, and Brian Hicks will make sure of that for you. I want to say hello to Joan Grote out at Phuket Magazine. I want to say hello to Miss Renu in Katanoi Beach. Noi, Nung, Jimmy and Jack at the CB's Bar in Kata. They listen to us every night. All the gang on Turtle Beach. You know, we got a movie shooting in Phuket right now, an Australian film called Turtle Beach. I understand they're having free T-shirts made up, say, Total Bitch. How about that, huh? And the guy in the car. I don't know who this guy is or what he does, but he calls up every night from his car phone and requests music. To the guy in the car, a big hello. And to Phil and Lek on out there at the Phuket Tourist Center. Phil's boat, the Osprey, pulled in a Phuket record 124-pound sailfish the other day. 124 pounds of fighting fish. So if you're in the mood for some deep-sea fishing, give Phil a call at 211-849. All right, this is The Late Show. We got about 20 more minutes of rock and roll coming your way before the show's over. I'm glad you're with me. The phone number is 213-532. Give me a call. My name's Steve. What's yours? A little bit of Dire Straits here on The Late Show. Before that, we had Eric Clapton doing Cocaine, and before that, George Thorogood and the Destroyers from Delaware, from the U.S., doing Shake Your Money Maker. Okay, we've just got about 7 more minutes of The Late Show here. I want to remind you all that the Canadian-American Club of Phuket is putting together an ice hockey league. We're going to have a Team Canada and a Team U.S., and if we get good enough, we're going to challenge the Russians to a match here in Phuket. Of course, first we've got to build an ice skating rink here in Phuket, and what we're going to do is get the machinery to freeze the man-made lake that already exists down at Sapan Hin, down at the south end of the island by the college. It's a big rectangular lake, just the right size for an outdoor ice hockey rink, and so we're collecting donations. Send checks here to the radio station. Make the checks out to Steve Rosse, or better yet, just send cash. Our phone number here is 213-532. Listen, I'm recording the show tonight for a few friends back in the States, so indulge me for just a second while I say hello, will you? I want to say hello to my mom, Betty Ross. How you doing, Mom? Didn't have time to write a letter this week, so I'm sending you a show instead. And to Amy, and to all the Kaplans, and to Irene and Nidden in New York City, Cubby, Emily, and the kids in New York, Nancy, Scott, Keith, and Robin, the old crew in New York City. I miss you all, and boy, it is really great here in Phuket. You don't know what you're missing. All right, we got about 7 more minutes. Now, we always close the show with a Thai song. I'm going to play tonight something by Thong Chai McIntyre, which is called Kukat, or Arguing Couple, and it is the #1 song here in Thailand right now, and Kun Sun Chai, my engineer, and I hope that you enjoy it. But before that, we're going to play Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones, but this is maybe a cover of it that you've never heard before. This has been The Late Show. Thanks for listening in. My name's Steve Rosse. I'll be back tomorrow. Radi Sawat Kap.
Cause I tried, and I tried, and I tried, and I tried. I can't get no, I can't get no, I can't get no satisfaction. I can't get no strong reaction. Cause I tried. And I tried, and I tried, and I tried. I can't get no, I can't get no. I'm such a loser. If I bought a new hat, they'd cancel Easter. I use nail polish to cover the rust. I went to a taffy pull. The taffy won. I wore a see-through dress and nobody looked. I can't get no, 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 no. Hey, hey, hey. แต่จะให้ดีเธอยอมก่อนตกลงไหม
time for us to close our English language programs. You have been with us on Nung Por Nor 89 FM in Phuket. May we invite you to be with us tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. when we begin our broadcasts in Thai. The English language programs begin at 6 p.m. A very happy night to you.
ที่นี่สถานีวิทยุ1 ปน.ของกรมไปรษณีย์โทรเลขทำการส่งกระจายเสียงณบริเวณเขารังนอกจังหวัดภูเก็ตเป็นประจำทุกวันตั้งแต่เวลา 5 นาฬิกาถึง 24 นาฬิกาในระบบ FM Stereo Multiplex ความถี่ 89.0 เมกะเฮิรตซ์สำหรับการกระจายเสียงในวันนี้ขอยุติแต่เพียงเท่านี้ขอเชิญท่านติดตามรับฟังการกระจายเสียงของทางสถานีได้ใหม่เริ่มตั้งแต่เวลา 5 นาฬิกาเป็นต้นไปขอความสุขสวัสดีจงมีแด่ท่านผู้ฟังทุกท่านราตรีสวัสดิ์